All right, Shabbat Shalom. Not Shabbat. My day is ending, so I have gotten back into my pajamas. Kombucha, good for the belly. Word. How do we do this? Word. Because Job. Bedding in case you gotta sleep on the couch. Reading the word. Seems like I have less dreams sleeping on the couch, which is less way of talking with Elohim, which also sometimes, I don't know. It's weird, man. Relationship with Elohim is weird. Just trying to navigate it. We see Job trying to navigate it too here. I've several times recorded today. This is a lot of information. Let's pray first. Father Yahuwah, forgive us our sins, first and foremost. I am not the best, and compared to you, I am a dunghill. And I'm sure there are others that feel this way too, and we come together in apology for our humanity. But we are also human, and teach us how to navigate between our humanity and our acceptance that we are human. And none of us are perfect. And I love you, and I have no idea how to please you. Because I can't do every word in this word. I'm sure most people can't either. But hey, you know what? For now, let me speak your word. I don't want to bring them into this. They're just the viewers. I don't know them. But I know for me, I need forgiveness. And I humbly ask for it. And I also ask for any other prayers that need to be said right now. Father Yahweh, I love you. And I praise you in Yeshua's name. Amen. Alright, so this is a lot of meat. As these chapters go on and go through, there is so much that we have in here. My throat, I've been doing so much talking, hours and hours a day at this, that my throat is actually starting to become sore. So, if I don't do it, the rocks will cry out. Or I will type up a script and you'll just see it scrolling through the screen like your high school PowerPoint. And the teacher that just stood there. Or the overhead projectors, you remember them? It's on the screen. They don't even have those anymore. It's like all digital. I remember they were getting these boards called $1 million boards. That's what they called them. I don't know how much they were. They were a couple $1,000s, probably $9,000-$10,000. And they were like basically big Digitaltronics whiteboards with like these pens that you could they were like metal tip pens, steel tip pens that just had sensors, reacted with the sensors, whatever. You could write on the board and it projected, and then people would come up and draw on them with like whiteboard markers and Sharpies, and it's like we're on a $10,000 board. Back when minimum wage was $7 in New York. It's doubled in 7 years. I entered the workforce 15 years ago. And so I guess 15 years, but realistically, no, I guess it is 15 years. Job 24. Times are not hidden from the Almighty, and why have not those who know him seen his days? They remove landmarks. They rob and feed on flocks. They drive away the donkey of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox as a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth have hidden together. See, as wild donkeys in the wilderness, they go about their tasks, eager seekers for prey. The desert gives his bread for the children. They reap his fodder in a field, and they glean the vineyard of the wrong. They spend the night naked, without a garment, and without covering in the cold. They are wet with showers of the hills, and have embraced a rock for lack of refuge. They snatch away the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge from the poor. Naked, they shall go about without a garment, and hungry, they shall take away an omer. They press out oil within their walls, wine presses they shall tread, yet suffer thirst. Men groan in the city, and the beings of the wounded cry out, and Eloah does not regard it as foolish. They have become rebels against the light. They have not known his ways, nor remained in his paths. The murderer rises at daylight. He kills the poor and needy, and in the night he is a thief. And the eye of the adulterer watches for dusk, saying, no one sees me. And he puts a concealment on the face. In the day he has broken into houses. By night they shut themselves up. They have not known light. For all of them, morning is the same as the shadow of death. When he discerns the extreme fears of the shadow of death, he is swift on the face of the waters. Their portion is cursed in the earth. He does not turn into the way of vineyards. Drought and heat snatch away snow waters. Sheol, those who have sinned. The womb forgets him. The worm feeds sweetly on him. He is remembered no more, and wickedness is broken like a tree. Treating evil the barren, who does not bear, and does no good for the widow. But he draws the mighty away with his power. He rises up, and no one is certain of life. He gives him safety, and he leans on it. Yet his eyes are on their ways. They are lifted up for a little while. Then they are gone. Then they shall be brought low. Like all else they are gathered up, and they are cut off like the heads of grain. And if it is not so, who does prove me a liar and make my words worthless? It's a longer one. Job is continuing from 23, and 25 is really short, which obviously we're going to do tomorrow. 25 to 27 and Acts 11. I don't know exactly why they broke all these chapters up like this. I mean, and honestly, like, I'll have this to watch back, but I'm not going to remember, like, I can't remember every word that I've said in all these videos. We're 65 days in. 56 days in. So, doing great, y'all. I hope that you've been reading along with me. We've started Proverbs as well. We're going to do the proverb of the day this month, and then see what happens with the rest of the months. I guess I can do it, right? What's the difference? Times are not hidden from the Almighty, and why have those who have not known him seen his days? Why have those who have not known him seen his days? The longevity of days is what he's asking here. Okay, so the New American Bible and the New World Translation have, why do those who know him not see his day? And, oh, this one does say, why have not those who know him see his day? Okay. Why do they need to word this like that? They remove landmarks. They rob and feed on flocks. They drive away the donkey of the fatherless, and they take the widow's ox as a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth have hidden together. This is, just more indicators of a wrong person, an unrighteous person, a bad person. The poor of the earth have hidden together. His day is hiding from his days, his day of judgment, hiding from the wrong. Said here, all the poor of the land are driven into hiding. The helpless of the earth must hide from them. Must hide from them from I don't know what that sound was, but my phone just made a sound. Helpless of the earth must hide from them, those who do not know him. So the wrong. Okay. So the poor of the earth have hidden together from the wrong, because they turn the needy out of the way. See, as wild donkeys in the wilderness, they go about their tasks, eager seekers for prey. The desert gives his bread for the children. The desert gives his bread for the children. Eager seekers. Man, this is a bomber. This one says like wild asses. In the desert, these go forth to their task of seeking food. The steppe provides food for the young among them. They harvest at night in the untilled land. They reap his fodder in a field, and they glean the vineyard of the wrong. They seek food in the desert for their children. See, that makes more sense. The desert gives his bread for the children. The steppe provides food for the young among them. Okay. Eager seekers for prey. See, because prey is meat. And it says the desert gives their bread. So seeking food. The poor forage for food like wild donkeys in the wilderness. They seek food in the desert for their children. They go about their tasks. Eager seekers for prey. The desert gives his bread for the children. They reap his fodder in a field, and they glean the vineyard of the wrong. Do not glean the corners of your field. We read that in Deuteronomy 24. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, do not glean behind you. Let it be for the sojourner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. Verse 21. They glean, these are the poor, gleaning the vineyard. They spend their night naked, without a garment, and without covering in the cold. So he's now he's talking about the poor and their lifestyle because of the wrong. So let us continue this because we have a couple more verses. They are wet with the showers of the hills and have embraced a rock for lack of refuge. Man, embraced a rock for lack of refuge. They have so little love and safety. They embrace a rock. Snatch away the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge from the poor. See, and this is why the they makes more sense that this is the wrong. There's a And they shall go about without a garment and hungry. They shall take away an omer. So they're both. This is tricky. This is... Okay. They're both. And the garments of the poor are taken as security for a loan. And that's why these translations have different, like, they'll say the wicked when this one just says they. And this one will say the poor when this one just says they. But because the they is as it's written literally in the Hebrew, this translation literally puts they for everything. As opposed to the Jehovah Witness or the Catholic Bible saying, we're going to take the time, we're going to figure out who's who, and then we're going to disperse it among. Okay. So. Now, I'll do my best to translate that. Okay, so they snatch away the fatherless from the breast. The wicked snatch away the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge from the poor. Naked, they shall go about without a garment, and hungry, the poor, they shall take away an omer. Okay, so this one is making 9 or 10 say that they're gonna this one doesn't even have 9. This one's so strange. The garments of the poor are taken as security for a loan. Boy, that is wicked. Yeah, you want to borrow $1? Give me your shirt. Fuck, man. Alright. Take a pledge from the poor. Alright, well, yeah. That's... Take a pledge from the poor does not, like, say the same thing as taking their garment for a loan. Like, that is a lot better way to describe it. Which is why we're using these translations. I've said it 1,000 times. Okay. Naked they shall go about without a garment, and hungry they shall take away an omer. This taking away an omer is written as carrying a sheath. So basically in Exodus 4? Exodus 7? Somewhere between 4 and 7. Oh. Okay. Now I know. Found a verse that I was looking for before, and now I know it. And so it is Exodus 5. We'll start in verse 4 because it's kind of like drawn out. But the sovereign of Mitzrayim said to them, Moshe and Aaron, why do you take the people from their work? Get back to your burdens. And Pharaoh said, see, the people of the land are many now, and you make them cease from their burdens. And the same day Pharaoh commanded the slave drivers of the people and their foremen, saying, you are no longer to give the people straw to make bricks as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, and lay on them the required amount of bricks which they made before. Do not diminish it, for they are idle. That is why they cry out, saying, let us go and slaughter to our Elohim. Let more work be laid on the men, so that they labor in it, and not pay attention to words of falsehood. And the slave drivers of the people and their foremen went out and spoke to the people, saying, thus said Pharaoh, I do not give you straw. So it goes on, but the point is that they double the work, and they have to now gather the straw, and they have to make the bricks. And so the other place that we've seen this is in 2 Chronicles 10, where Rehoboam I'm going to keep this concise. Verse 13, and the sovereign answered them harshly. Thus sovereign Rehoboam ignored the advice of the elders, and spoke to them according to the advice of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, but I add to it. My father chastised you with whips, but I with scourges. So the sovereign did not listen to the people. For the turn of events was from Elohim in order for YHWH to establish his word, which he had spoken by the hand of Ahiyahu, the Shilonite, to Jeroboam, son of Nebat. And when all Yisrael saw that the sovereign did not listen to them, the people answered the sovereign, saying, what portion have we in Dawid? And we have no inheritance in the son of Yishai. Every man to your mighty ones, O Yisrael. Now see to your own house, O Dawid. So all Yisrael went to their tents. Okay. Boy, I'm starting to see clearly. Yahweh help me. So here is they shall take away an omer. So these wrong ones are seeing hungry poor people and making them carry their grains, the grains of the rich and wrong. It's like Rehoboam and Pharaoh. And we saw Rehoboam and Ahab are widely regarded as two of the worst kings, and Pharaoh is obviously the reason that the people cry out. And whatever, Pharaoh gets whacked. We all know that story. Okay. Verse 11. They press out oil within their walls. Wine presses they shall tread, yet suffer thirst. Okay, so the poor will press out the oil in the houses of the rich and wrong, and they will tread their wine presses, but they will be thirsty while they're doing it, just like carrying the grain while they're hungry. Men groan in the city, and the beings of the wounded cry out, and Eloah does not regard it as foolish. He's saying they're justified in their groaning and crying out, because just like in Exodus. Exodus 3:7. And Yahweh said, I have indeed seen the oppression of my people who are in Mitzrayim, and have heard their cry because of their slave drivers, for I know their sorrows. And I have come down to deliver them from the hand of the Mitzrites, and to bring them up from that land to a good and spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Ewites, and the Jebusites. And now, see, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Mitzrites oppress them. And now come, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Mitzrayim. Okay, so Eloah does not regard it as foolish. He hears their cry. Love and commitment. We'll get. That is so much of this book. They have become rebels against the light. They have not known his ways nor remained in his path. Wonder what these other ones say for the light. Don't they say light too? Against the light. That's interesting. It's a cross-reference here. John 3:19. That's the only one here. Okay. The New World Translation has a cross-reference to John 3:19, which is interesting to me, but we're not going to go there because this isn't a capital light. But then neither is Genesis 1:2. Genesis 1:3. Genesis 1:3. And Elohim said, "Let light come to be," and light came to be. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day. It's a separation of light and darkness. They have become rebels against the light. We are going to go here, and then maybe we'll end up in John 3:19. But in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with Elohim. All came to be through him, and without him not even one came to be that came to be. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. What? What? There was a man sent from Elohim whose name was Yohanan. This one came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all might believe through him. He was not that light, but he might bear witness of that light. He was the true light which enlightens every man coming into the world. We've done this before about the difference between John and Jesus, similar to the wrong and the poor and the theys. We'll look at 3:19. And this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and men love the darkness rather than the light, for their works were wicked. Okay. Final one, 8:12. Therefore Yeshua spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall by no means walk in darkness, but possess the light of life. They have become rebels against the light. They have not known his ways, nor remained in his paths. Okay? So, the light. How did we know the light? The Word. In Job's time, there was no light, and we know that there was no light. There was no human light. No. Where is it? Right here. I know here it is. It's 9:33. There is no mediator between us to lay his hand upon us. So he does not know Jesus. We're going to find out, is it God himself coming down? Is it, we all know that Elohim speaks to Job in the end of this book. We're going to find out, is this Melchizedek, possibly, also known as Yeshua HaMashiach, the captain of the Lord of hosts, the messenger of Yahuwah, who appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush, and he looked and saw the bush burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed, from Exodus 3:2. Exodus 23's the messenger. I am sending my messenger in a cloud of smoke by day and a column of fire by night. Is it that messenger, or is it God himself? We're going to find out at the end of Job. Don't go anywhere. They have become rebels against the light. They have not known his ways, nor remained in his path. So, though Yeshua is the light, Yeshua is the Word. The light is the Word at this time. Job does not yet know Yeshua. The murderer rises at daylight. He kills the poor and the needy, and in the night he is a thief. So they're murderers by day and thieves at night. The eye of the adulterer watches for dusk, saying, no eye sees me, and he puts a concealment on the face. So he's taken murder, stealing, adultery from the 10 words,
where is this? I think it's Matthew 19. Yes, Matthew 19. And having laid hands on them, he went from there. Matthew 19:16. And see, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good shall I do to have everlasting life? And he said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. But if you wish to enter into life, guard the commands. He said to him, Which? And Yeshua said, You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Respect your father and your mother. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, All these I have watched over from my youth. What do I still lack? Yeshua said to him, If you wish to be perfect, go. Sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. And when the young man heard the word, he went away sad because he had many possessions. Okay, cool. So, in the dark he has broken into houses. By day they shut themselves up. They have not known light. Oh, okay. We're getting into some stuff here. This is some thickness. Okay. We're in verse 17. Which the asterisks which follow this verse mark off a passage 18 to 24 which cannot be ascribed to Job with certainty. 17 to 24 are in general poorly preserved, and much of which 18 to 21 has not been translated because these verses are obscure. Saint Jerome, because the Catholics still believe in saints, renders them as follows: He is light upon the face of the water. Cursed be his portion on the earth. Let him not walk by the way of the vineyard. Let him pass from the snow, waters to excess heat. Okay, so this one doesn't even have a verse 17. Let's see, the Jehovah Witness. For morning is the same as deep darkness for them. They are familiar with the terrors of deep darkness. I have for all them morning is the same as the shadow of death, which he discerns the extreme fears of... Oh, I'm supposed to be looking at 16 anyway. In the dark he breaks into houses. By day they shut themselves in. None of them know the light. In the darkness they break into houses. By day they shut themselves in. They are strangers to the light. Okay, so the reason this got me all excited was because obviously we're like assuming that the day is the night. The murderer rises at daylight. He kills the poor and needy, and in the night he is as a thief. In the dark he has broken into houses. By day they shut themselves up. They hide in the dark, in the day, because they can't be exposed to the light. Why? Because and the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. In the dark he has broken into houses. By day they shut themselves up. They have not known the light. Those who stay in the houses in the day do not know the light. Wow. What is the light? The light is the love of many. For all them morning is the same as the shadow of death, when he discerns the extreme fears of the shadow of death. All of them, the thieves, the murderers, morning is the same as the shadow of death, when he discerns the extreme fears of the shadow of death. Wow. The shadow of death. Deep darkness, it says. What did Job say in 23? 23:17, because I was not cut off before darkness, and my face he has covered from the thick darkness. Deep darkness, how did it say in here? But I have not yet been silenced by the darkness, nor by the gloom that has covered my face. Oh, that's a totally different translation. I'm just going back before. And from my face he has covered the thick darkness. So we've got shadow of death here. The darkness that is death. Because the light, Yeshua is the light. He comes to overcome death for us. he is raised from the dead. In him is the spirit of life. He is the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life, he says. In 14:6, Yeshua said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. How did he say it in 8:12? I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall by no means walk in darkness, but possess the light of life. What is the light of life? For all of them, the murderer, the thief, the adulterer, mourning is the same as the shadow of death. In the dark he has broken into houses. By day they shut themselves up. When he discerns the extreme fears of the shadow of death, they have not known the light. Verse 18, he is swift on the face of the waters. Their portion is cursed in the earth. He does not turn into the way of the vineyards. Who he? He of darkness. Their portion is the land. He is light upon the face of the waters. Cursed be his portion on the earth. Let him not walk by the way of vineyards. But they are swiftly carried away by waters. Their portion of the land will be accursed. They will not return to their vineyards. Yeah, he, the bad them, the dark ones, the thief, the them, is swift on the face of the waters. Waters are cleansing. So they can see their reflection in the waters because they didn't have mirrors at this point. So swiftly he'll walk by the waters because he can't even look himself in the face. Their portion is cursed on the earth. He does not turn into the way of vineyards. He knows that he can't reap a harvest from a land, so he will not invest in the land. Drought and heat snatch away snow waters. Sheol, those who have sinned. Okay. We're back into Sheol, and I love that. We've got another reference about snow and a river. I don't remember where it is. There was a song back in the day called Ocho Cinco. I was just about to, as I was watching Rex last night talk about how no thought is original, and every time we say like a Job 9:30, that's exactly where I was looking. Praise Yah. I just couldn't see it. If I wash myself with snow water and cleanse my hands with soap. This is what I was looking for. 6:16. Which are dark because of... My brothers are as undependable as a wadi, as a bed on which streams once ran, which are dark because of the ice in which the snow is hidden. Yeah. And then we've got... Dark because of the ice which the snow is hidden. I think it says, drought and heat snatch away snow waters. Sheol, those who have sinned. Sheol snatches away those who have sinned. Yeah. I mean, ain't that the truth? Point being, that's how you pop your toe. Point being, I was listening to Rex and I almost went and got my phone and said, Otrophono! The womb forgets him. The word feeds sweetly on him.
He is remembered no more, and wickedness is broken like a tree. Drought and heat snatch away snow water. Sheol, those who have sinned. Sheol snatches away those who have sinned. The lake of fire. We've got quite a few Sheol references in here. I think that's more of a statement than a reference. But chapter 17, verse 13. If I wait, Sheol is my house. I shall make my bed in darkness. What are we talking about here? Light and darkness. In the dark he has broken into houses. By day they shut themselves up. They have not known the light. Sheol, those who have sinned. The womb forgets him. The worm feeds sweetly on him. He is remembered no more, and wickedness is broken like a tree. Treating evil the barren who does not bear, and does no good for the widow. The barren. Barren is like your son, like your firstborn son. And does no good for the widow. So, man, the dark one. We're still talking about the dark one. He is remembered no more, and wickedness is like broken like a tree. Just want to go here. It's not like directly, entirely, 100% on top of each other related, but it is a point to be made. Romans 11:16. Now if first fruits are set apart, the lump is also. And if the root is set apart, so are the branches. And if some of the branches were broken off, and you being a wild olive tree have been grafted in among them, and came to share the root and the fatness of the olive tree, do not boast against the branches. And if you boast, remember, you do not bear the root, but the root bears you. You shall say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Wickedness is broken like a tree. Got a witness? Can I get a witness? Job 24:20, praise Yah. But he draws the mighty away with his power. He, Yahuwah, draws the mighty away with his power. He rises up, and no one is certain of life. No one is certain of life. No one is guaranteed the possession of life. Yeshua HaMashiach came to give us everlasting life, and yet no one is certain of life. So much prophecy to Yeshua. Job 9:33, the mediator. Where is it? 14:12, man shall lie down and not rise. There's another one. I'm gonna have to go back and find it, because there's a third one already. And this is number 4. I'm putting 24:16 as witness number 4 to Yeshua. He gives him safety and he leans on it, yet his eyes are on their ways. Yahuwah gives him safety and the man leans on it, yet his eyes, Yahuwah's eyes, are on their ways. He's still watching them. They can have safety in him, he can lean on him, and Yahuwah's still watching his ways. They are lifted up for a little while, then they are gone. Then they shall be brought low. Like all else they are gathered up, and they are cut off like the heads of grain. And if it is not so, who does prove me a liar and make my word worthless? Okay. Like all else they are gathered up, and they are cut off like the heads of grain. You shall reap what you sow. A seed. Obviously you shall reap what you sow. They're cut off like the heads of grain. I know that Messiah said something about that. And it is not about the seed going into the ground to die, to spring up fruit. Okay. All right. We've got also Acts 11 to do today. I want so bad to say 25 is a bearing false witness, an analog, but I don't. I'm not going to say it. Let's see if this has one. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna look for that other Messiah reference. I need to write them down. It's the problem. I'm like, we talked about no words in here, no words in here, no words in here. I don't write in my Bible. So all of this is from studying. I got my 10,000 hours the first year. I'm already, my 10,000 hours is way in to the word. And there's people who know the word so much better than me. And I mean like lay people who know the word so much better than me. Like people who don't have any business knowing the word better than me, know the word better than me. And as far as I'm concerned, I know the word mediocre. And so if you don't know the word as well as I do, that's just swiping. That's like, iPhone needs to fix that. When you're recording, things can't sit and stay there because that's distracting. All right, Acts 11. And the emissaries and brothers who were in Yehuda heard that the nations also received the word of Elohim. And when Kepha went up to Jerusalem, those of the circumcision were contending with him, saying, "You went in to uncircumcised men and ate with them." But Kepha began and set it forth in order, saying, "I was in the city of Yapho, praying, and in a trance I saw a vision, a certain vessel descending like a great sheet, let down from the heaven by four corners, and it came to me. Having looked into it, I perceived, and I saw four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping creatures, and the birds of heaven. And I heard a voice saying to me, 'Rise up, Kepha, slay and eat.' But I said, 'Not at all, master, because whatever is common or unclean has never entered into my mouth.' And the voice answered me again from the heaven, 'What Elohim has cleansed you do not consider common.' And this took place 3 times, and all were drawn up again into the heaven. And see, immediately 3 men stood before the house where I was, having been sent to me from Caesarea. And the Spirit said to me to go with them, not doubting at all. And these 6 brothers also went with me. And we went into the man's house, and he told us how he had seen a messenger standing in his house, who said to him, 'Send men to Yapho, and call for Shimon, who is also called Kepha, who shall speak to you words by which you shall be saved, you and all your house.' And as I began to speak, the set-apart spirit fell upon them, as upon us at the beginning. And I remembered the word of the master, how he said, 'Yohanan needed indeed immersed in water, but you shall be immersed in the set-apart spirit.' So if Elohim gave them the same gift as he gave us when we believed on the Master Yeshua Messiah, how was I able to withstand Elohim?" And having heard this, they were silent and praised Elohim, saying, "Then Elohim has indeed also given to the nations repentance to life." Then indeed, they who were scattered because of the pressure that arose over Stephanos passed through to Phoenicia and Cyprus and Antioch, speaking the word to no one except the Yehudim only. But some of them were men from Cyprus and Cyrene, who, when they had come to Antioch, spoke to the Hellenists, bringing the good news, the Master Yeshua. And the hand of the Master was with them, and a great number, having believed, turned to the Master. And word of it came to the ears of the assembly in Jerusalem. And they sent out to Barnabas to go as far as Antioch, who, having come and seeing the favor of Elohim, was glad and encouraged them all with purpose of heart to cleave to the Master, because he was a good man, and filled with the set-apart spirit and belief, and large numbers were added to the Master. Then Barnabas went to Tarsus to seek Shaul, and having found him, he brought him to Antioch. And it came to be that for an entire year they came together in the assembly and taught large numbers. And the taught ones were called Messianists, first in Antioch. And in those days, prophets came from Jerusalem to Antioch. And one of them, named Hagab, stood up and indicated by the Spirit that there was going to be a great scarcity of food over all the world, which also took place under Claudius Caesar. So the taught ones, each according to his ability, decided to send relief to the brothers dwelling in Yehuda. This they also did, and sent it to the elders by the hand of Barnabas and Shaul. I am curious to see how long that famine lasted, and if you are not prepping food, if you have not prepped food, man, get that stuff in order. So, this first chapter, or beginning of this chapter, is a recitation of chapter 10. So I'm not gonna go over unclean food again. That is a separate video. If you're watching this video and have not watched my Acts 10 video, you can watch that for all the information, but I'm also going to make a video, something titled something unclean food. What should we call it? Still unclean, we'll call it. Still unclean. Yeah. And the emissaries and brothers who were in Yehuda heard that the nations also received the word of Elohim. Okay, so apostles, brothers in Yehuda heard that the nations also received the word of Elohim. And when Kepha went up to Jerusalem, those of the circumcision were contending with him. Those of the circumcision, the Yehudi, the people. We've read this in Genesis, I want to say 15. Okay. Genesis 17, we're going to read it from the top. And it came to be when Abram was 99 years old that Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, I am El Shaddai. Walk before me and be perfect. And I give my covenant between me and you, and it shall greatly increase you. And Abram fell on his face. And Elohim spoke with him, saying, As for me, look, my covenant is with you, and you shall become a father of many nations. And no longer is your name called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, because I shall make you a father of many nations. And I shall make you exceedingly fruitful, and make nations of you, and sovereigns shall come from you. And I shall establish my covenant between me and you, and your seed after you in their generations, for an everlasting covenant to be Elohim to you, and your seed after you. And I shall give to you and your seed after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession, and I shall be their Elohim. And Elohim said to Abraham, As for you, guard my covenant, you and your seed after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant which you guard between me and you and your seed after you. Every male among you is to be circumcised, and you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall become a sign of the covenant between me and you. And a son of 8 days is circumcised by you,
every male in your generations, he who is born in your house or bought with silver from any foreigner who is not of your seed, he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your silver has to be circumcised. So shall be my covenant be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And an uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, his life shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. And Elohim said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, do not call her name Sarai, for Sarah is her name. And I shall bless her, and also give you a son by her. And I shall bless her, and she shall become nations, sovereigns of peoples, to be from her. Okay, so we're going to stop there because we get into the weeds about Abraham and his disposition toward Yah. And that's not what this is about. This is about the circumcision. So that is the covenant of the circumcision, which I'm wondering even if I was wondering if Stephanos had mentioned about the circumcision, but he did not. So these are Yehudi. And they're contending with him, saying, You went into uncircumcised men and ate with them. Okay. We're going to Acts 10:28, and he said to them, this is Kepha talking to, all right, we'll start at 26, but Kepha raised him up, saying, Stand up. Okay, we'll go to verse 25, Acts 10:25. And it came to be that when Kepha entered, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet and bowed before him. But Kepha raised him up, saying, Stand up, I myself am also a man. And talking with him, he went in and found many who had come together. And he said to them, You know that a Yehudi man is not allowed to associate with or go to one of another race. But Elohim has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Okay, so it is tradition of men that they are not allowed to associate with non-Yehudi. Because clearly there's one Torah for you and the sojourner within your gates. Whereas that's towards the end. Another witness about the land of milk and honey, if you're following along. I have honestly no idea where this would be. So I'm actually going to look it up because it's important. Okay, it's not in Deuteronomy. Well, maybe it is, but Numbers 15:16 and Exodus 12:49. Oh, it was kind of where I was looking for it. Because I just had the context wrong. But when we're told to read the Torah at Sukkot, Deuteronomy 31:10, and Moshe commanded them, saying, at the end of 7 years, at the appointed time, the year of release, at the festival of Sukkot, when all Yisrael comes to appear before Yahweh your Elohim in the place which he chooses, read this Torah before all Yisrael in their hearing. Assemble the people, the men and the women, and the little ones, and your sojourner who is within your gates, so that they hear, and so that they learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim, and guard to do all the words of this Torah. And their children, who have not known it, should hear and learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim, as long as you live in the land you are possessing over the Yarden. Okay. And the sojourner within your gates. But I want to give the other witnesses here, because this is important in showing that Yahweh ain't racist. Broadly speaking, new age context, yeah, that's important, but he never intended for division at all. And we're going to use that in verse 26 as well. And we're going to go back to Rehoboam in 2 Chronicles. 12:49, there is one Torah for the native born and for the sojourner who sojourns among you. Okay. 48, and when a sojourner sojourns with you and shall perform the Pesach to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised. There's the circumcision again. And then let him come near and perform it, and he shall be as native of the land. But let no uncircumcised eat of it. There is one Torah for the native born and for the sojourner who sojourns among you. There is one Torah. This specifically, they're not allowed to eat of the Pesach. However, when we see it in Numbers 15, and we saw it in, if that went for the entirety of the Torah, then we wouldn't have Deuteronomy 31 saying, read the Torah to all your sojourners. It doesn't say anything about the circumcision in Deuteronomy 31. Okay. We're going to start in 12. They're talking about sacrifices here. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you have come into the land of your dwelling, which I am giving you, and you make an offering by fire to Yahweh, an ascending offering or a slaughtering, to accomplish a vow or as a voluntary offering, or in your appointed times to make a sweet fragrance to Yahweh from the herd or the flock, then he who brings near his offering to Yahweh shall bring near a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil, and 1/4 of a hin of wine as a drink offering you prepare with the ascending offering or the slaughterings, for each lamb. Or for a ram you prepare as a grain offering 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil, and as drink offering you bring 1/3 of a hin of wine as a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And when you prepare a young bull as an ascending offering, or as a slaughtering to accomplish a vow, or as a peace offering to Yahweh, then shall be brought with the young bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/2 a hin of oil. And bring as the drink offering 1/2 a hin of wine as an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. This is what is done for each young bull, for each ram, or for each lamb or young goat, according to the number that you prepare. So you do for each one according to their number. Let all who are native do so with them, in bringing near an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And when a sojourner sojourns with you, or whoever is among you throughout your generations, and would make an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh, as you do so he does. One law is for you of the assembly, and for the sojourner who sojourns with you, a law forever throughout your generations. As you are, so is the sojourner before Yahweh. One Torah and one right ruling is for you and for the sojourner who sojourns with you. Can it be any clearer? As you are, so is the sojourner before Yahweh. Like, just spell it out for us, Father. God, you are so great. It's all right here in black and white, hidden away. I took that phrasing from Bear. I'm gonna drink a hot tea after this.
throat muscles be on flake. Okay. You went into uncircumcised men and ate with them. So Yahweh never intended there to be separation between sojourners and Israel. Yes, he made covenants with Israel, but anybody could come. And I mean, we've got Rahab and Joshua. We've got obviously Cornelius right in Acts 10. But there's constantly men coming to Israel. Nebuchadnezzar, like there's men that Yahweh loves, and women that Yahweh loves outside of the Israelites, the Yehudi. But Kepha began and set it forth in order, saying, I was in the city of Yapho praying, and in a trance I saw a vision, a certain vessel descending like a great sheet let down from the heaven by four corners, and it came to me. Here's the descending picnic. Having looked into it, I perceived and saw four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping creatures, and the birds of the heaven. And I heard a voice saying to me, Rise up, Kepha, slay and eat. But I said, Not at all, master, because whatever is common or unclean has never entered into my mouth. And I read this, and I just see, like Peter's thinking this is a trick. No way! No. Like Jesus is coming to him, he's bringing all these animals, and he goes, Eat, Peter. And Peter's like, I ain't eating that. I can't eat that. And like he sees through this eating. Like he's still, because Peter's very known for, like in John 21, there's a couple examples of this. 15, when therefore they had eaten breakfast, Yeshua said to Shimon Kepha, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me more than these? He said to him, Yes, master, you know that I love you. He said to him, Feed my lambs. He said to him again the second time, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, master, you know that I love you. He said, Shepherd my sheep. He said to him the third time, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me? Kepha was sad because he said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Master, you know all, you know that I love you. Yeshua said to him, Feed my sheep. So Kepha still has an emotional reaction to the commands of Yeshua instead of trusting here. And yes, he doesn't have the set-apart spirit, but we still see in Acts 11 that he needs this. He says he's still a little like hesitant of the commands of Yeshua, which, I mean, this is an important thing. I never have, not at all, master, because whatever is common or unclean has never entered into my mouth. This is something he's guarded over from his youth. From my youth, same way Ezekiel says it, from my youth I have not eaten what is defiled. This is necessary. See, I have never defiled myself from my youth till now. Ezekiel 4:14. Another witness on Peter, 19, John 21:19. Now this he said, signifying by what death he would esteem Elohim, and having said this, he said to him, Follow me. And Kepha, turning around, saw the taught one whom Yeshua loved following, who also had leaned on his breast at his supper, and said, Master, who is the one who is delivering you up? Seeing him, Kepha said to Yeshua, But Master, what about this one? So he's constantly got this, like, I don't want to say grabby, but like this kind of, like I'm picturing the wise fool here. Like the one who in a movie, right? Like he builds this building and he's got he was supposed to screw everything in and he made nails, and then this the bad guy comes in and
drives his car through the window thinking that he's going to get right in and then go up the stairs and, do all this stuff and like get the good guy, and then the building crumbles on the bad guy, and then the good guy and the fool, who is also a good guy, I guess, are standing next to each other, like, and the good guy's like, "What happened?" And the fool's like, "That's what buildings are for," and it's like, so he just like had like his foolish accident made the situation successful, because otherwise it would have been bad. And so similarly here, and I don't mean to make you a fool, Peter, but because I think I'm very like you, and Job apparently. So if you're hanging out with Job up there, you're up there hanging out with Job, and you watch over me, and Job is there too. Say what's up, because we're gonna have tea someday. And I know we got Yeshua, but hey, talk to Yeshua a little bit, because we need some advocates down here. At least I do. But I know that other people are in the same position that I am, so please help us. Father, help us. But Peter and Job and Yeshua, Messiah, be advocates for us. Can I get an amen? All right. Not at all, Master, because whatever is common or unclean has never entered into my mouth. And the voice answered me again from the heaven, what Elohim has cleansed you do not consider common. And this took place 3 times, and all were drawn up again into the heaven. And see, immediately 3 men stood before the house where I was, having been sent to me from Caesarea. 3 and 3, Peter makes direct association verse by verse here, so that there's no question of what happened in Acts 10. And the Spirit said to me, the Spirit says to him, which again, we saw that these men and the Spirit said to me, go with them, not doubting at all. And these 6 brothers also went with me, and we went into the man's house. Peter took 6 men with him. And he told us how he had been sent messengers standing in his how he had seen a messenger standing in his house, who said to him, send men to Japhet and call for Shimon, who is also called Kepha, who shall speak to you words by which you shall be saved, you and all your house. And as I began to speak, the set-apart Spirit fell on them as upon us at the beginning. Okay, as I began to speak. Verse 44 of chapter 10, while Kepha was speaking these words, the set-apart Spirit fell upon all those hearing the word. Praise Yah, I did not go read that. He knew that it was there. But the point being that it's not a laying on of hands that's necessary. It is a speaking. And talking with him, he went in and found many who had come together. This is what Yeshua needs us to do, is come together and be together. And it is not an elite group of us who are to be together. It is all of us, all day, every day, any of us, together in the name of Yeshua. That is the Holy of Holies. That is the witness. We need to be gathered. Even if it's online. It's togetherness. That's what it is. That's what the problem is. Man. Podcasts are becoming very popular. You're listening to this. you know, which I should be doing with another person, but I haven't had people to do it with, and I also should be doing it in the parks where it's public, but I'm using my translations and I'm going to look like I am studying, but maybe I need to go to a university and sprawl out like this, but coming together. We just were in Job 24. "16, where I said was the witness of Yeshua. By day they shut themselves up." They're alone. They're alone. Okay. $19.25, but it was a rock was the other one, now that I'm seeing it. So 9:33, 14:12. These are all the witnesses of Yeshua. Another one was about a rock, which I don't. $18.4. All right. 9:33, 14:12, 18:4, 19:25, and 24:16. And we're only halfway through the book of Job. We've got 5 references to Messiah. Okay. We just needed to put that in there. Out there, in there, out there, in there, out there. Okay. So the Spirit falls upon these men when Kepha's speaking. Togetherness is all you need. And I remembered the word of the Master, how he said, Yohanan, indeed immersed in water, but you shall be immersed in the set-apart Spirit. So if Elohim gave them the same gifts as he gave us when we believed on the Master Yeshua Messiah, how was I able to withstand Elohim? I think this is in John. It's super important that we go find it. Not so much, but... John 3. And there was a man of the Pharisees, Nicodemus was his name, a ruler of the Yehudim. This one came to Yeshua by night and said to him, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from Elohim. For no one is able to do these signs you do if Elohim is not with him. Yeshua answered and said to him, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born from above, he is unable to see the reign of Elohim. Nicodemus said to him, How is a man able to be born when he is old? Is he able to enter into his mother's womb a second time and be born? Yeshua answered, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and of the Spirit, he is unable to enter into the reign of Elohim. That which has been born of the flesh is flesh, and that which has been born of the Spirit is spirit. Okay. We're going to keep going. Do not marvel that I said to you, you have to be born from above. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, but do not know where it comes from and where it goes. So is everyone who has been born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said to him, How is it possible for this to take place? Yeshua answered and said to him, Are you the teacher of Israel and do not know this? Truly, truly, I say to you, we speak what we know and witness what we have seen, and you do not receive our witness. If you do not believe what I spoke to you about earthly matters, how are you going to believe what I speak to you about the heavenly matters? And no one has gone up into the heavens except he who has come down from the heaven, the Son of Man. And as Moshe lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so the Son of Man has to be lifted up, so that whoever is believing in him should not perish but possess everlasting life. For Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only brought forth Son, so that everyone who believes in him should not perish but possess everlasting life. For Elohim did not send his Son into the world to judge the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He who believes in him is not judged, but he who does not believe is judged already, because he has not believed in the name of the only brought forth Son of Elohim. And this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and men love the darkness rather than the light, for their works were wicked. For everyone who is practicing evil matters hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his works should be exposed. But the one doing the truth comes to the light, so that his works are clearly seen, that they have been wrought in Elohim. After this, Yeshua and his taught ones came into the land of Yehuda, and he remained there with them, and was immersing. And Yohanan was also immersing in Ayin near Salim, because there was plenty of water there, and they were coming and were being immersed, for Yohanan had not yet been put into prison. Then a dispute arose between some of Yohanan's taught ones and the Yehudim about cleansing, and they came to Yohanan and said to him, Rabbi, who was with you, he who was with you beyond the Yarden, to whom you have witnessed, see, he is immersing, and all are coming to him. Yohanan answered and said, No man is able to receive any matter unless it is given to him from the heaven. You yourselves are witnesses for me that I said I am not the Messiah, but I am sent ahead of him. He that has the bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices greatly because of the voice of the bridegroom. So this joy of mine is complete. It is right for him to increase, but me to decrease. He who comes from above is over all. He who is from the earth is of the earth, and speaks of the earth. He who comes from the heaven is over all. And what he has seen and heard, that he witnesses, and no one receives his witness. He who receives his witness has set his seal that Elohim is true. For he whom Elohim has sent speaks the words of Elohim, for Elohim does not give the Spirit by measure. The Father loves the Son, and has given all into his hand. He who believes in the Son possesses everlasting life, but he who does not obey the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elohim remains on him. Okay, so importantly here, we also had more witnesses about the light and the darkness in 20 and 21. We had already read 3:19, but as I'm reading this and talking about the coming togetherness, I'm realizing that when in Matthew 19, when the when the okay. Follow me. Alright. We're gonna, many who are first shall be last, and the last first. I'm just thinking this is not as much about giving up the possessions as it is about follow me. If you wish to be perfect, sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me. It's not as much about the first half of that as it is the second half. The follow me. Come hang with us. He's already got 12 apostles here. So he can't come because he's already got 12 apostles. And you who have followed me in the rebirth shall also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So, a lot going on there. Not the time for it, but I'm just trying to keep in mind the togetherness. Being the forefront, the true truth of the gospel, more than the sacrifice. Because I think that people focus too much on the sacrifice, and I've sacrificed a lot, and I know that my relationship with Elohim has not been toward more sacrifice. It's not about the giving all this stuff up. He's fine with that. Because he's happy when I'm with my family, as he is when I'm with the 12 tribes. So, it is the togetherness. It has to be the togetherness. Father, correct me, show me, but right now, that's what I'm seeing as the truth of the gospel. Togetherness. Okay. So if Elohim gave them the same gift as he gave us when we believed on the Master Yeshua, how was I able to withstand Elohim? Let the Spirit overcome you, Peter. And having heard this, they were silent and praised Elohim, saying, Then Elohim has also given to the nations repentance to life. It says a footnote that says C1035. Start at 34. And opening his mouth, Kefa said, Truly I say that Elohim shows no partiality. Again, the sojourner, one Torah for the sojourner within your gates. But in every nation, he who fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him. Praise Yah. Repentance to life, everlasting life. Everlasting life. Life and love, life abundantly. I had a boss who had a guy who worked for him years prior, and the guy died, and he read the obituary, and it was like a short little, it was like a verse, like the size of verse 19, and he said that's it, that's all they gave him, that's all that it mattered to anybody to give him. He's like, I want a parade, I want all this, and I want all that. And I think about a pastor who died recently, and how his whole church was there, and there was a line down the street, there were cars parked down the street, this 300 car parking lot was full, and people were taking up the street, and yada yada, and it was hours long, and everlasting life. Then indeed, they who were scattered because of the pressure that arose over Stephanos passed through Phoenicia and Cyprus and Antioch, speaking the word to no one except the Yehudim only. Okay, so they only trust the Yehudim, they who were scattered. Let's take it to the top of 8. And Shaul was giving approval to his death. And on that day, there was a great persecution against the assembly which was at Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout the countries of Yehuda and Shomeron, except the emissaries. And dedicated men buried Stephanos and made great lamentation over him. Okay, this scattered. Just like the tribes were scattered. We're not going to go here either. But okay. Okay. Verse 20, but some of them were men from Cyprus and Cyrene, who when they had come to Antioch spoke to the Hellenists, bringing the good news, the Master Yeshua. Again, we have the good news, the Master Yeshua. Peace through Yeshua Messiah. Yeshua Messiah, said so many different ways. And the hand of the Master was with them, and a great number, having believed, turned to the Master. Scattered because of the pressure. Yehuda, is the only one who asks for help to clear the land. We've talked about this before. Judges 1, and it came to be after the death of Yehoshua that the children of Israel asked, saying, who of us should go up first against the Canaanites to fight against them? Father, thank you, Father, you are awesome. And Yahuwah said, Yehuda does go up. See, I have given the land into his hand. And Yehuda said to Shimon, his brother, come up with me into my allotment, and let us fight against the Canaanites. And I myself shall also go with you into your allotment. So Shimon went with him. And Yehuda went up, and Yahuwah gave the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand, and they struck 10,000 men at Bezek. Judah is the only one who asks for help. They're the only ones who humble themselves. They're the only ones who are successful in getting the Canaanites out of their land entirely. All the other tribes are unsuccessful. And so, man, the beginning of Judges is hitting right now. Chapter 3, verse 1, and these are the nations which Yahuwah left to try Israel by them. all those who had not known all the battles in Canaan, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them battle, only those who before did not know them. 5 princes of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites, who dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon to the entrance of Hamath. And they were to try Israel by them, to know whether they would obey the commands of Yahweh, which he had commanded their fathers by the hand of Moshe. And the messenger of Yahweh came up from Gilgal to Bochim, and said, I led you up from Mitzrayim, and brought you to the land of which I swore to your fathers. And I said, I do not break my covenant with you. And as for you, do not make a covenant with the inhabitants of this land. Break down their slaughter places, but you have not obeyed my voice. What is this you have done? So, I mean, literally. The Judges 1:29. We just did 2:1 and 2. 29. Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites who dwelt in Gezer. So the Canaanites dwelt in their midst in Gezer. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, or the inhabitants of Nahalal. So the Canaanites dwelt in their midst, and became compulsory labor. Neither did Ashur drive out the inhabitants of Acco, nor the inhabitants of Sidon, nor of Alab, nor of Achzib, nor of Helba, nor of Aphik, nor of Ahub. So the Asherites dwelt in the midst of the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, because they did not drive them out. Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh, nor the inhabitants of Beth Aniam, but they dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, and the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh and of Beth Anath became compulsory labor for them. And the Amorites pressed the children of Dan into the mountains, for they would not allow them to come down to the valley. And the Amorites desired to dwell in Mount Heres, in Elam, in Shalbam. But when the hand of the house of Joseph became stronger, they became compulsory labor. And the border of the Amorites was from the ascent of Arkim, from Selah and upward. Okay, so, however, the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites who inhabited Jerusalem. So the Jebusites have dwelt with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem to this day. And the house of Joseph also went up against Bethel, and Yahweh was with them. And the house of Joseph sent men to spy out Bethel. Now the name of the city was formerly Luz. And the watchmen saw a man coming out of the city, and they said to him, Please show us the entrance to the city, and we shall show you love and commitment. So he showed them the entrance to the city, and they struck the city with the edge of the sword. But the man and all his clan they let go. And the man went to the land of the Hittites and built a city, and called its name Luz, which is the name of the city. And Manasseh did not dispossess Bethshem. And so in Judges 1, the only people who are successful are the Yehudim, and they are the only ones who asked for help from their brother. I mean, like, what does this tell you? And now how fallen away the Yehudi are. And why are they scattered? Well, they don't follow the commands of Elohim. Why do they not follow the commands of Elohim? Because they've completely corrupted their land. Why have they completely corrupted their land? Because they weren't together as one people, Israel. So now they've corrupted their land. Okay? They've corrupted their land. They're scattered because of the pressure of keeping the commands, because there were outside influences inside their land. Can no longer keep the commands because of the pressure that continues to pile up. And so they go whoring among the nations that they left in the land. And become scattered because of it. All that off Acts 11:19. This gospel's coming together, praise Yah. But some of them were men from Cyprus and Cyrene, who when they had come to Antioch, spoke to the Hellenists, bringing the good news, the Master Yeshua. What do you mean when you, and the word of Yahweh came to me saying, what do you mean when you use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are blunted? As I live, declares the Master Yahweh, you shall no longer use this proverb in Israel. See, all beings are mine. The being of the Father as well as the being of the Son is mine. The being that is sinning shall die. As I live, declares the Master Yahweh, in the place where the sovereign dwells, who set him up to reign, whose oath he despised, whose covenant he broke, with him in the midst of Babel he shall die. And Pharaoh with his great army and great company is not going to help him in battle when they heap up a siege mound and build a wall to cut off many beings. And he despised the oath by breaking the covenant. And see, he has given his hand, and he has done all this. He is not going to escape. Therefore, thus said the Master Yahweh, as I live, my oath which he has despised, and my covenant which he has broken, shall I not put it in on his own head? And I shall spread my net over him, and he shall be taken in my snare. And I shall bring him to Babel, and enter into judgment with him there for the trespass which he committed against me. And all his fugitives with all his bands fall by the sword, and those who are left be scattered to every wind. And you shall know that I Yahweh have spoken. And those who are left be scattered to every wind. Yahweh is so perfect. Thus said the Master Yahweh, and I shall take of the top of the highest cedar and set it out. And I myself shall pluck off a tender one from the topmost of its young twigs and plant it on a high lofty mountain. On the mountain height of Yisrael I plant it, and it shall bring forth branches, and bear fruit, and become a big cedar. And under it shall dwell birds of every wing, in the shadow of its branches they shall dwell. And all the trees of the field shall know that I, Yahweh, have brought down the high tree, and exalted the low tree, dried up the green tree, and made the dry tree flourish. I, Yahweh, have spoken and shall do it. Wow. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. And the hand of the Master was with them, and a great number, having believed, turned to the Master. That was 17, 16. We started in 18, and then we jumped over to 17, 16 to the end, for your reference. The hand of the Master was with them, and a great number, having believed, turned to the Master. And word of it came to the ears of the assembly in Jerusalem, and they sent out Barnabas to go as far as Antioch, who, having come and seeing the favor of Elohim, was glad, and encouraged them all with purpose of heart to cleave to the Master. Because he was a good man, and filled with the set-apart spirit, and with belief, and large numbers were added to the Master. Turn to the Master. Sent Barnabas to Antioch. My mind is just blown right now with how perfect Yahweh is. Encourage them all with the purpose of heart to cleave to the Master. Purpose of heart to cleave to the Master. His intentions were to get them to repent of their sins and cleave to the Master. Because he was a good man and filled with a set-apart spirit and with belief, Barnabas
and large numbers were added to the master. Praise Yah. Then Barnabas went to Tarsus to seek Shaul. And having found him, he brought him to Antioch. And it came to be that for an entire year they came together in the assembly and taught large numbers. And the taught ones were called Messianists first in Antioch. This is not a thing of God. This is a derogatory term by the Greeks in Antioch. And I can't make this any clearer. I can't stress this enough. There is one Torah for the sojourner, and for you and the sojourner within your gates. What Elohim has cleansed, you do not consider common. In every nation, he who fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him. Elohim has also given to the nations repentance to life. There is no point where Yahuwah separates his people. In other translations, 11:26 is where we get the word Christians from. The word was actually Messianist, follower of Messiah. We have 2 Chronicles 10 is where but as for the 10:17, but as for the children of Israel who dwelt in the cities of Yehuda, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then sovereign Rehoboam sent Hadoram, who was over the compulsory labor, and the children of Israel stoned him with stones, and he died. And sovereign Rehoboam hastily mounted his chariot to flee Jerusalem. Thus Israel revolted against the house of David to this day. So that's the split. That's the division of Israel and Yehuda officially. Now, we know that Yahuwah has ordained all of this. Yahuwah knew all of this. We talked a little bit about determinism before, and how all this is going to go. But this here, Acts 11:26, is the first time they're called Christians. The word Christ is nowhere in the Old Testament. We're going to stick with the Messiah, with the Messianists. And there is no division between those following Messiah and the Yehudi by ordination of El. There is a manly separation. In Romans 11, we get that they're the branches that are cut off, but Israel is still the root of the tree. So all Yehudi who claim the name of Messiah, that's all they have to do. Keep the Torah and claim the name of Messiah. Revelation 14:12, 12:17, and 24. Revelation 14:12. Here is the endurance of the set apart ones. Those guarding the commands of Elohim and the belief of Yeshua. Okay? So that's all they have to do, and they will be a set apart one. The Father never wanted any division.
it strictly comes down to the ones who started following Messiah and the ones who did not follow Messiah. And this was an identifying term given by the lay people, by the people, to identify those who did follow Messiah and those who didn't follow Messiah. Yehudis versus Messianists. All it is. And in those days, prophets came from Jerusalem to Antioch. And one of them, named Hagab, stood up and indicated by the Spirit that there was going to be a great scarcity of food over all the world, which also took place under Claudius Caesar. Man, we could go about famines for days. I mean, there's like 8 in Abraham's time, and then not to mention the fact that Joseph rises to power because of a famine, and Pharaoh's whole vision, and I mean, there's so much. From Genesis 12:10, and a scarcity of food came to be in the land, and Abraham went down to Mitzrayim to sojourn there, for the scarcity of food was severe in the land. I mean, I'm sure I could find more. When Yahuwah rained sulfur and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from Yahuwah out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. Okay. And Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him, and Yitzchak his son, and he split the wood for the ascending offering, and arose and went to the place which Elohim had commanded him. And on the 3rd day Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place from a distance. So Abraham said to his young men, "Stay here with the donkey while the boy and I go there and worship and come back to you." And Abraham took the wood of the ascending offering and laid it on Yitzchak his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the 2 of them went together. And Yitzchak spoke to Abraham his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am, my son." And he said, "See the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the ascending offering?" And Abraham said, "My son, Elohim does provide for himself the lamb for an ascending offering." And the 2 of them went together. And they came to the place which Elohim had commanded him, and Abraham built a slaughter place there, and placed the wood in order, and he bound Yitzchak his son, and laid him on the slaughter place upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took a knife to slay his son, but the messenger of Yahuwah called to him from the heavens and said, "Abraham, Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." And he said, "Do not lay your hand on the boy nor touch him, for now I know that you fear Elohim, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." And Abraham lifted his eyes and looked and saw behind him a ram caught in a bush by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for an ascending offering instead of his son. So the taught ones, each according to his ability, decided to send relief to the brothers dwelling in Yehuda. So the taught ones, each according to his ability, decided to send relief to the brothers dwelling in Yehuda. This they also did and sent it to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Shaul. Come together.